we didn't see shit.
I didn't see shit.
I saw
one episode.
You saw the first episode, but I saw the entirety of Glow. We like wrestling here. We like movies and TV series here, so we might as well just get that sucker out of the, out of the way and
Squirt
review
that
it.
baby out.
I was excited for this show because the basis for it is actually pretty interesting. There was a documentary that came out not too long ago that focused on the women of Glow. And for those of you that don't know, Glow was a wrestling promotion from the mid to late 80s that featured only women. And it was kind of like a hee-haw meets wrestling type of thing. Very cheesy, very corny. But it did, it didn't break the ceiling. Maybe it did. It broke the glass ceiling a little for women.
Poked a hole in the ceiling.
It did. It definitely poked a hole. But that's not what's interesting. What's interesting was that these women genuinely did something different, did something that was unprecedented and unique, and whether they were good at the craft or not didn't matter because they themselves as people were interesting, and the story of how this came to be was interesting, and their stories after and before and during their Glow tenure were all interesting. So there was definitely a lot of material that they could cull a show out of and do something amazing with. The first misfire for me was that the show is very loosely based on the actual Glow events. Now, that's not a big thing. I mean, I'm okay with creative liberties. Just give me something good. But that for me was a big warning sign. But I still went in very excited to see what was up. So before I get to it, I'm gonna preface this with saying that I am fucking pro woman. I am the guy that prefers strong female leads in his media for some reason. I just am. There's no fucking agenda on my behalf. I am not right wing. I am not left wing. I'm actually kind of in the middle. I believe sometimes these guys have something good to say. Sometimes those guys have something good to say. But most times they both fucking suck. I am pro-choice. I am, all that junk that you think I'm not probably by now because this clearly is going to be a negative review.
Yeah, normally this shouldn't be something we would even have to say. But there's some loons out there.
There's some loons. So let me preface by saying that. Now, that's out of the way. Another big warning sign for me was Genji Cohen, who has previously been in charge of Orange is the New Black and Weeds, both of which were critically lauded, both of which Weeds ended up disappointing me. Ultimately, the main character ended up becoming progressively more. She just became nonsense. Like none of her shit was rational anymore. And Orange is the New Black struck me. I know everybody loves it, but it struck me as super unrealistic, not very funny, and it was full of stereotypes.
Yeah.
And I've been to prison, so maybe it was just me going, this is nothing about this feels real at all.
The Guardian watched the first 2 seasons, and he said that once the third one came out, he was like, I don't even care anymore.
Yeah, see, and a lot of people kind of, although it's still a super popular show, their interest waned. And I think it has a lot to do with the one of the biggest problems in Glow is that the main characters ultimately end up being unlikable. And right out the gate with Glow, guess what? The main character is unlikable as hell. I'm talking, how do you like this woman? She's an actress trying to find meaty roles, and she's a horrible actress.
Yep.
Not Alison Brie portraying the actress, but the actress character acting is fucking terrible.
They show it, like 2 or 3 times?
Yeah.
And she sucks. She's a terrible act. Like, in those moments, it actually starts with her doing one of her little monologues, and instantly you're like, oh, this show's gonna be bad.
Yeah, because it doesn't let you know that she's playing a role or being an actress playing a role. It just literally starts with her,
like that, and you're like,
and during an audition, but you don't know it's an audition. So I was like, is this the acting? This is bad. And then it reveals that she's in an audition, and she feels entitled to get these
why
roles.
am I not getting these roles? It's because you suck. You're a shitty actress.
Yeah, you're fucking terrible. What the hell are you talking about? That's bad. Now, Alison Brie as a character is absolutely fine. The problem is what she's given
sucks.
Is a role that is thoroughly unlikable as a character. She's a bad actress that feels entitled to have good roles. And look, that in itself is good. An actress during a time when meaty roles were not, the constant thing.
Or even just like a bad actor trying to get roles. That can be funny. I mean, Tobias.
Yeah, it does. I mean, that alone is good, but when she's bad, why would that be interesting? But anyway, and on top of that, she comes off as incredibly, shall we say, a crappy person. I mean, that's really the best way to put it.
I wouldn't want to hang out with this person.
She betrays her friend by cheating with her friend's husband. So you're like, how am I supposed to like this person? There's a way.
They literally show her like humping in the first episode.
There's a way to make an unlikable character,
flawed character.
A fucking Breaking Bad did it.
Yeah. Marin did it. He's in it.
But this one is like, I don't like her. I want to like her, but I don't. And the sad part is, eventually in the series, she kind of redeems herself, sort of. But you still got all these. You still got all that bad blood from the beginning of the series, so you're like, no. But, I guess that speaks to Alison Brie, who at least comes off as somebody that's trying to change. But if Genji Cohen's traditions keep up, then she's just going to make some other irrational decision, and she's going to be a piece of shit again. Hopefully not, but whatever. But anyway, the thing is, after she betrays her friend, maybe you should like her friend. Oh, no. All of a sudden, her friend's a bitch. Super bitchy. Okay, you're angry that your friend slept with your husband. But do you have to demonstrate anger by being a total, complete bitch? No, you don't. This should be somebody we're being empathic towards, not, what the fuck? So that's a big problem. And then another thing I noticed right away was that, ironically, the best character was the misogynist asshole director. Portrayed as a misogynist asshole guy. Maybe he has a heart of gold, but he's too fucking rough and tumble and, just stuck in the old ways. And he's a drug addict and really kind of a piece of crap. He's the most likable guy, and he really does a good job. I don't say that as well, at least you got that guy. Marin does a fucking wonderful job. I wouldn't be surprised if he won an Emmy because he's really good. And my favorite episode in the whole thing focused mainly on him. That's how good he is. And I mean, this is a show about women in a women's wrestling, doing a women's wrestling show. And that guy is the most, impressive dude. Another big issue was that the other women don't get enough screen time, and they seem very interesting. Whenever they get a little time to shine, you're like, man, I want to know more about this person. But you don't get that. You get stick more with the main character, which would be fine again if
she didn't suck ass.
She didn't venture down these crap ass roads. The biggest problem for me was, before I get to the biggest problem for me, there's this fucking thing I noticed. The Genji Cohen must think that making her characters piss on camera, I mean, that's just the fucking paragon of realism. Oh, that's real right there. Make them piss.
That's a real person because they pee like me.
Dude, like the first time you see somebody piss, like it was almost every episode somebody's pissing. Sometimes more than once. What the fuck? Or leaking from the tits or...
Yeah.
Look, I realize women piss, and I realize if you're lactating, you got the issues and stuff like that. Do you need a piss every fucking episode? You don't need a piss every fucking episode.
This is similar to when you told me about this. Like, it's like Halo Reach's attempt to build character with all the Spartans. Let's just have them take off their helmets.
Yeah, that's really what it felt like. Like, oh man,
look at this character. He's so real.
This is real because pee. No. I mean, I was just... It's bad that I noticed that.
She lactated. Isn't that something you can relate to, ladies?
I mean, it really felt that shallow. Like,
yeah, it
did.
Like
I'm pandering.
There was no point. Like, I saw the first episode, and that's when it happens, the lactating. There's no point to have that in there.
No.
Literally no point. It just happens. Which made me instantly think, was that a joke? Is that...
Yeah, I think it was intended as
funny?
one.
Like, okay.
Now, just to clarify... I have a female friend that watched the first episode,
okay.
and she felt the same way about that. Like, what was the point of that fucking shit?
It's pointless.
And she gave up after the first episode, so it didn't even
So did
interest this woman, you know. And she's a cool ass chick.
Or
she should have been interested in this fucking thing. Didn't. She was like, whatever, you know. But anyway, the biggest issue with this thing is that there's clear agendas being espoused here, you know, and that's a big fucking issue. Again, to reiterate, I agree with most of the stuff that these agendas are
doesn't mean you have
pushing
to put
towards.
it every second.
The way it's done
So
is terrible.
yeah.
You know, okay, Genji Cohen, clearly you think Republicans are all pieces of shit. That's fine. I happen to think that a lot of people on both sides of the aisle are pieces of shit. But whatever, you're entitled to your opinion. I can respect that.
That's cool. I mean, it could bring in some cool, clever jokes, right?
Yeah, it could bring in a lot of subversive, subtle humor about some particular class or, you know, in this particular case, people that follow a certain side of the government or, I'm sorry, politics. Nope. I'm just going to say Republicans are pieces of shit. That's it. That's my comment. And I just said it in fucking dialogue.
That's a good line.
How is that clever? How is that anything? How is that funny? It's not. It's not funny. And then, you know, again, I'm pro-choice, but you have your already super unlikable character.
That's kind of important. Right?
She gets pregnant, and she has to make the decision of getting rid of the child and or continuing on this wrestling show. I don't know about you, but if I got pregnant, that would be a fucking big decision. It wouldn't be like, yep, choosing the show. Get this piece of shit out of me.
You were telling me about this, and I was like, okay, I guess, I mean, that could be an interesting subplot, like the drama.
One episode.
Yeah.
One fucking episode. By the way, she pees. This time, thankfully, there's a reason. But then the reason is disposed of within one episode.
Literally.
One episode. That's it. I just killed a human life. No second thoughts. I mean, the way they show her having some thought about it is she looks at a mother and her child in a skating rink.
Again.
For like 3 seconds, and then that's it.
It could be like a good like subplot. Like, oh, shit.
Could have definitely drama. Yeah, could have definitely added drama to her relationship with her ex-friend that she betrayed and is now working on the show.
Nope. Like, it sounds the way it did. She might as well just reach in there, grabbed it, and thrown out.
Yeah, she might as well
spiked it into a
fucking Michael Jordan, that fucking fetus. I mean, what the fuck, man? That's a big decision, and there's nothing there. Just like, there we go. Yeah. I saw some kid, and
again,
maybe for a second it looked like I was thinking about it. Like, I guess
you could have had a good storyline or something, make sense. But it's by the way it sounds, I didn't see this far in. It literally just comes out of nowhere. Is dealt with in one episode, and it's pointless ultimately.
What the point was, sadly, that clearly this was, I'm a woman, I can choose whatever.
Okay.
That doesn't.
Why is that in this show?
Does that make you a fucking soulless hag? No, man. This is a big fucking decision. They could have used that in a good way. Nothing. You know, the biggest one that pissed me the fuck off was they basically revealed, they were like, just like this far away from saying the word. They basically revealed that one of the characters is an otherkin. First of all, this shit didn't exist in the 80s, okay? Maybe there were people that identified as something else.
But the word.
But the phraseology, they don't use the word, but the phraseology that's used was like, come on, man. I know what you're saying here. Yeah. It's too obvious. I know what you're saying. Cool. You support otherkins. Good for you.
Now.
Do you need to say it this way in a very unrealistic fashion?
Once again, opportunity for some funny stuff.
Yes.
Like, oh, this person identifies as a wolf, but they don't know what otherkin is. That could be funny.
It could.
Instead,
nope. They really don't ever use that again past that one episode. You know, they just, they don't use that past that one episode. Let's just say that.
Okay.
Now, there are some things that I did like in the show. Mark Maron is the top-notch fucking person on the show. He's fantastic in it.
I'm a Maron man.
Allison Brie, when she finally unburdens herself from some of the fucking dumbass shit that they put on her as a character, she's actually, you see glimmers of what she could have been as a good character, and you're like, damn, that's such a shame, you know. Same for her friend, turned rival, turned partner, turned whatever. When they actually get to the final episode and they put on the big match, it actually feels like a rousing moment. You know, when they focus on the technicalities of wrestling and what it means to wrestle, that's great. You know, the soundtracks is pretty cool because it throws you back to the 80s for sure. The visual, that the sets and then the visuals and stuff are top notch as well. But yeah, man, this thing is riddled with. Look, I know I said that my biggest problem was the agendas. Really, my biggest problem is one,
shitty writing.
They threw out an opportunity to make a genuinely interesting story about genuinely influential people that happen to be women that did something unique and who had interesting stories.
Yes. And instead, they simplified them into these like non-characters.
Worse, they made them stereotypes.
Yes.
Look, these women are already playing stereotypes on TV, which is a big chance to poke, at stuff in our society, problems with our society, problems with our politics, etc. That's good. That's a good opportunity. Wrestling does that all the time. Here's a good chance. Do you have to make the characters that the real characters are portraying, do you have to make them stereotypes too? How is that? I mean, how is that anything but detracting from the goal of the fucking show? I don't understand that, man. And then some of the characters they just don't make fucking sense. We have one character who's a black woman played by Awesome Kong, who is pretty cool, by the way. But she when she's starting to pick her personal character for the show, she picks. She wants to be a pimp character. Then later they saddle her with a gimmick called the welfare queen, and she complains to the director that this is demeaning. And I'm like, you picked a fucking pimp at first. How does that make any damn sense? But anyway, the biggest fucking problem with this show is that it does nothing to advance women and women's roles when they had every opportunity to do so, and it passes, stereotype characters as being good and pro women. I don't understand what the fucking end game on this thing was, but there was enough good there for me to want a second season. It's worth a look just to count the times they pee in it,
Yeah. Drinking game.
Really, in the end, it's a loss, but maybe it'll get better in season 2.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's been my thoughts on Glow from Netflix.
Does it blow?
Check it out. What do you think? Am I wrong? Am I right? How many SJWs are going to kill me now?
Don't worry, no one watches our vids anymore.
True. Anyway, this has been Ahab and the Goon Tick signing out.